Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Ready to dive into the world of loglines with me today?
Absolutely. Loglines are crucial for any fiction writer hoping to snag an agent or hook a reader.
They are. And lucky for us, we've got some fantastic insights from Mr. Liddon to guide us through this process.
He kicks things off by defining a logline as a short, compelling summary of a story. Usually just one or two sentences, and it really needs to nail the goal, the conflict, and what's at stake.
It's like a movie trailer condensed into a couple of lines.
Yeah. Or think about those blurbs you see on the back of a book, the ones that make you think, I need to read this right now.
Okay, so let's look at one of Mr. Liddon's examples of a strong logline. He gives us this gem. When a bumbling town outlaw accidentally becomes a folk hero after saving the day during a botched bank robbery, he must navigate newfound fame without losing his head.
I love this one. It immediately injects humor and intrigue. You've got this relatable character, this bumbling outlaw, who ends up in a completely unexpected situation.
I mean, talk about an unlikely hero. It makes you wonder how someone could mess up a robbery so badly and still end up being celebrated.
Right. It plays with our expectations. You think outlaw, you think bad guy. But here, he's accidentally a hero, and now how's he going to handle all this attention?
And Mr. Liddon also provides what he calls a good logline. It reads, "A police chief, a young biologist, and an old hunter set out to stop a gigantic grizzly bear from terrorizing a small village." So what makes this one tick?
First, you've got three distinct characters. A police chief, a biologist, a hunter. Each brings something unique to the table.
You could almost picture them teaming up. The police chief with the authority, the biologist with the knowledge, the hunter with the experience. It's like a classic monster movie setup.
And their goal is crystal clear: stop this massive grizzly bear. And the stakes. Well, an entire village is at risk. That sense of urgency really jumps out at you.
Plus, you've got potential for conflict on multiple levels. Obviously, there's the bear. But what about the characters themselves? Will they clash? Will they be able to work together? I'm already hooked.
Exactly. And that's the power of a well-crafted logline. It sparks all these questions and leaves the reader hungry for more.
It's not just about summarizing the plot. It's about igniting curiosity.
You got it.
So we've seen some stellar loglines. But creating one from scratch can feel daunting.
Oh, absolutely. That blank page can be intimidating.
Thankfully, Mr. Liddon comes to the rescue again with a handy formula.
A formula. Tell me more.
Okay, are you ready for this? He gives us this. When an event happens, a protagonist must take action in order to achieve a goal before a consequence occurs.
Okay. Break that down for me. How would a writer actually use that?
Well, think of it as a blueprint. It guides you through the essential elements of a logline, but it doesn't stifle your creativity. You still have tons of room to play within that structure.
I see. So it's a starting point, not a rigid rule.
Exactly. Let's test it out on that grizzly bear logline.
Yeah.
So, how about this? When a gigantic grizzly bear begins terrorizing a small village, a police chief, a young biologist, and an old hunter must work together to stop it before the entire town is destroyed.
Okay, yeah, I can see how the formula fits there.
Right. We've got the inciting incident, the bear wreaking havoc. Then you have your protagonists, our unlikely trio. Their goal is clear: stop the bear. And if they fail, well, the whole town is toast. Talk about raising the stakes.
It definitely hits all the key points, but I'm guessing not all loglines are created equal.
Oh, you got that right. Some missed the mark entirely.
Let's see one of those not-so-great examples, just so we know what to avoid.
Lay it on me. What does Mr. Liddon offer up as a cautionary tale?
He gives us this. In a futuristic society where the government controls every aspect of life, the protagonist, Alice, who has a traumatic past and a mysterious power, teams up with her estranged brother to overthrow the regime while they navigate complicated family dynamics and romantic tensions.
Whoa, hold on. My head's spinning. That's a lot to digest in one sentence.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's trying to do too much. It lacks that sharp, focused delivery we saw in those earlier examples. It's like a runaway train of information.
It's like they threw everything but the kitchen sink into that one sentence.
Right. It's sacrificing clarity for complexity, and we lose sight of what really matters.
And what about this Alice? We know she's the protagonist, but who is she really? The logline doesn't give us any insight into her character.
Yeah, what makes her unique? What are her motivations? We're left with more questions than answers. And speaking of questions, what about the stakes? What happens if they don't overthrow this regime? What's the cost of failure for Alice and her brother?
And how do all these side plots, the romantic tension, the family drama, connect to the main conflict. It just feels muddled, like a jumbled movie trailer that leaves you more confused than intrigued.
You nailed it. And Mr. Layden really emphasizes that less is more when it comes to log lines. Concision and clarity are king. Every word should serve a purpose, driving the narrative and captivating the reader.
So it's about making those words count, huh?
Absolutely.
All right, so we've heard the good, the bad, and even a formula or two. What are the essential elements that make a log line truly shine? What do our listeners need to know to craft their own captivating log lines?
Well, you want to strike that perfect balance. Give the reader just enough information to pique their interest, but leave them craving more. It's about crafting an irresistible hook that makes them say, I need to read this story.
So how do we achieve that delicate balance?
Start with your protagonist. What makes them unique? What drives them? Are they flawed? Relatable?
So a character who feels real, someone the reader can connect with on some level.
Exactly. Then consider their goal. What are they striving for? What's the driving force behind their actions?
And what obstacles stand in their way? Is it a villain? A natural disaster? A personal struggle?
That's where conflict comes in. It's the engine that drives your story. And don't forget about the stakes. What happens if the protagonist fails to achieve their goal? What's at risk?
So the reader understands why they should care, why they should be invested in this character's journey.
You got it. And don't be afraid to hint at the genre and tone of your story. Is it a heart-pounding thriller, a whimsical romance, a dark comedy? Give the reader a taste of what they can expect.
It's like setting the stage, creating an atmosphere that draws the reader in.
Now, for all of you writers out there listening, I challenge you to take one of your own story ideas and distill it into a single, powerful logline. What's the heart of your story? What will make readers eager to turn the page?
Play around with it. Experiment. Don't be afraid to try different approaches until you find that perfect hook. Remember, crafting a logline is an art, a process of discovery. And when you finally nail it, that feeling of satisfaction is incredible.
It's a mini victory in itself. And who knows, that perfect logline might be the key to unlocking your story's full potential.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of loglines. Happy writing, everyone.